In episode number 206, we cover All-Star Batman number 1, Scott Snyder's return to Batman after that short break shortly after the New 52 ended.
We also have an update on one of our newest favorite shows, Supergirl Season 2. It's coming up soon.
And for fans of Batman 66, we have Batman Return of the Caped Crusader coming up with the original voice actors.
All of this and much more on today's show.
Hello and welcome to the Reasons I'm Broke podcast, bringing you the reasons we're broke every week, ranging from comics, movies, TV, video games, and more. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Kelly.
I'm sickly Daniel this week.
You are. We were actually supposed to record last night, and you were so sick, I stuffed you full of NyQuil and sent you to bed.
I tasted it. I was like, this kind of tastes like alcohol. You're like, yeah, so you'll like it. I'm like, well, can I just take shots instead?
No, not the same thing.
Why can't I just have a rum and Coke? Isn't that the...
I actually have to be really careful when I start taking NyQuil because I'll get addicted to it because of the alcohol in it, and I'll try to take it even when I don't need it anymore.
I didn't know it was that addicting.
It is.
I'll take some tonight, right after the recording.
Good. Go to sleep. That's what you need.
I'll get better. I'll sound better. But for now, you're going to do a lot of the heavy lifting for me this week.
So I get to talk about what I went then.
There's plenty of Batman, there's plenty of Supergirl.
I read this fan fiction. I actually had a really, really interesting week.
Yeah?
A lot of ups, a lot of downs. Started off my week with getting an official promotion.
Very nice.
Thank
Congratulations.
You. So where I work, you get what's called a temporary assignment, which is where I was working in the role that I am now. But it was just temporary, and I could have gone back to hourly. And they said, hey, you're doing such a great job. The position's yours. Enjoy. So that was a great surprise. I started painting the new house this week.
Very good.
Yes.
Yep, we are moving.
Yep, into our own place, just us. Mm-hmm. I'm very excited. I'm like, I'm nesting is what they call it. So I almost have that completely painted, which was great. But unfortunate news, I did lose my dog late last week.
Yeah, that was a rough weekend.
Not the puppy. That's what everybody I talked to, they're like, what happened to the puppy? I'm like, no. The 14-year-old dog. That was my Christmas present when I was 12. And so that it's been a rough week with my family, but I've spent a lot of time with the family. Ace helps a lot because my parents have another dog, so now that dog still has somebody to play with. And so that was my week.
Yeah, it's a rough one. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like I told you when you got Ace. I'm like, well, this is sadness in 13, 14 years.
But listen, how great has she been?
She's been good.
Yeah.
And has Abby been good too the last 14 years?
Yes, Abby was fantastic, worth every minute, even with all this pain, worth every minute. My dad was talking to his friend, one of his close friends, about the whole situation. He's like, yeah, I've put down 12 pets. I'm like, how are you still alive?
That's insane.
12 pets? Like, I thought I was dying with the one.
Yeah, my boss has also lost multiple dogs, and none of them have been like an age thing. It's always been either a sickness or an accident thing. So I know when we got it, he's still got more dogs though, so it didn't slow him down any. But yeah, he did say, well, I hope you and hope Ace has a long and healthy life because he hasn't had that experience.
Well, that's what my dad said, because growing up, his dogs used to run free, so they'd get bitten by a snake or another dog or run over by a car. He says, I've never had a dog for more than a few years. And then they got Abby, and it was, this is just for the kids. They actually bought her for my brother, which I find so ironic because she became my dog. She slept with me for years, up until I moved out. Even when I'd come to stay over, like, she slept with me one of her last nights, she just wanted to be close. And so my dad said this was way worse than anything I could have imagined, because getting her, I figured we would, I had never become attached to dogs, and she's just been an everyday thing for the last 14 years of my life. And
yeah,
he actually commented it was harder losing the dog than his mother.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's how it was for the family. So would I tell people every day to get a dog? Yes, it's the best experience. They're so enriching for a life, but when they're gone, man, I've been over to my parents almost every day this week, and I sit on the couch and I look at the fireplace where she should be, and she's not there. And
well, it's important to remember, as I said, like, Ace is still there. You still have Lucy. And Ace has been cheering everyone up.
She has. Every time we get sad, she just, like, jumps on us and gives us kisses. She runs around with Lucy and keeps her company, and, you know.
It's good. Very good.
She's a nice little sunshine spot, but...
So that was our week. We're not at our highest point right now.
Definitely not.
Emotionally and physically, but we're working through it. We're trying, Brokettes. Let's get on with news here, and this one comes straight out of Dark Horse and Nintendo.
So Dark Horse and Nintendo will be teaming up again for another Legend of Zelda hardcover title.
That first title, it was the Timeline Legend of Zelda hardcover. Sold out so fast. Everyone bought it. It was great for Dark Horse and Nintendo. But we have a press release here from Dark Horse that says, quote, on February 21st, 2017, Dark Horse will release The Legend of Zelda Art and Artifacts. Readers can peruse over 400 pages of fully realized artistic masterpieces, exclusive interviews with the design team behind the beloved game franchise, the official pixel art of the early series, and rare promotional art never before published in this format.
That's going to sell out pretty fast, too.
Yeah, if you're any comic shop out there, Barnes & Noble out there, this needs to go. This needs to go on pre-orders, and you need to order up. Legend of Zelda fans are very rabid. They're very passionate. They love to see any of the background, any of the art designs, any of the plannings to the series. They will eat that shit right up.
Even concept art. I love concept art. And I'm not a huge Legend of Zelda fan, but if you rolled in here with some concept art, yep, I'd want to see it.
Always love concept art. I know when the timeline released, that was the official timeline of The Legend of Zelda, because gamers kept demanding it. Like, well, where does this fit if this all connects? And the problem was, about halfway through, Nintendo said, well, this one takes place after this game. And that's when gamers went, well, where does the Nintendo one take place? And the Super Nintendo one, and all of these. So that's when they said, well, now we got to try to fit them together. And they did. Like, they came out with the official one, and it's not exactly right. It doesn't fit right. There's a lot of inconsistencies. But look, gamers, they didn't plan this from the beginning, so there's going to be problems.
They were just releasing games, and suddenly you want them all to make sense? Y'all out your minds.
Not going to happen. If they released anything remotely like this for Pokemon, imagine that dollar amount.
Yeah, especially right now with Pokemon Go. And if they're going to do that, they need to do it, like, fucking now, because Pokemon Go is on its way downhill.
Yeah, people are still kind of stopping the game and not really playing as much. They don't like the updates, but I think it's going to get better. It's going to get its bump once the new generation gets put in there and all the improvements that people have been asking for. You had to mention Supergirl Season 2. While discussing Supergirl's move to the CW, network president Mark Pedowitz told the press that he expects the series to be a top performer for the network this fall.
And I don't think he's wrong. I really think that show's going to do great, especially if they're doing more crossovers with The Flash. Like, that was one of my favorite episodes of Supergirl, was when The Flash showed up.
It was so good.
It was awesome. But he added that the network is currently not looking to add another superhero show to their slots, but that a spin-off from the existing ones are not out of the question. They don't need any more superhero shows.
Pretty much the whole network is DC shows, which is fine. You know,
the DCW.
Yeah, they don't need to force it if they don't have to. And in this case, they have a really strong core, and they should focus on that. And if anything spins out of it, cool. If they need to cancel something and later on replace it, that's fine too. If they put too many shows on there, they're not going to give themselves that room, unfortunately. Supergirl Season 2 premieres on October 10th.
Cannot wait. Something else that's coming out this October, though. Amazing. We just watched the trailer for it. Adam West, Burt Ward, and Julie Newmar will return to their roles of Batman, Robin, and Catwoman in the animated movie Batman: Return of the Caped Crusaders.
Welcome to Gotham Palace.
On tonight's show, Hector and the Ho-Daddies.
Holy, unholy alliance! Our greatest foes have reunited.
Maybe I wasn't paying attention to this, but this came out of nowhere for me.
Yeah,
like, they came out with this.
Like, you pulled up the trailer, and you didn't even say anything. And I'm like, what is this?
It's super cool. The trailer is amazing. I'm glad they got to do another project with the cast that they have left. And it looks like they really knocked it out of the park. It captures the tone of the original show. It captures the look, of course. It's called Batman: Return of the Caped Crusader, coming on DVD and Blu-ray October 11th. Were you big on Batman 66?
You know, I won't say I was really big on it, but I did used to watch it, I remember, Sunday mornings. I would watch it with my mom and my dad, and then the Green Hornet came on right after that. And then Wonder Woman was in there somewhere, And Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. I don't know how that one fit in. But I do remember watching it, and the biggest thing I remember was the POW sock and the Wham.
Yeah.
But people like my mom especially, she said she used to run home from school just to watch Batman, on their little black and white television.
I didn't start seeing Batman until way later, probably in my teenage years when they started rerunning them. I think it was TV Land is where they were putting them. And that's where I started watching it, and it was fine. I never got hooked on it because Batman the Animated Series was my Batman thing growing up. So, but I know that there are a lot of fans out there still for Batman 66. There's definitely a market. They've come out with the books. They came out with that DVD set, which had the complete series on there. And that was after they got the rights settled for the royalties with a lot of the actors, a lot of the companies involved. So this is more of that. This is them saying, okay, well, while they're still fans, let's try to make that dollar on these projects. Let's try to get Adam West and Burt Ward to do another project, before inevitably they go. So this is going to be awesome. I think it looks like they treated it really well with real earnestly. And check out the trailer. It actually does look really solid. Definitely something we're going to watch.
Of course. Yeah, it looks great. Like you said, it really has the feel of the old show as far as the POWs and the socks and the Whams. And, I don't want to spoil the trailer because even the trailer is funny, but the cheesy lines too. It just, they did a great job, and I'm glad that they're doing this to kind of continue their legacy.
Moving on to the DC Cinematic Universe, according to producer Danny Garcia, the Shazam film is set in the current DC Cinematic Universe, but will have a different production and feel than the Snyder films.
We do have a quote that says, "We are working with a different team, different producers, directors. It's a different setup." This comes from Garcia talking to Newsweek. Quote, "We don't feel fettered by or constrained by the success or failures and challenges of our other projects. That was a key component to our participation, that we be able to control the tone and the voice and do it the way we want to." End quote.
In relation to Shazam, how important is that for them to for it to kind of stand out on its own? I know previously we had talked about how Wonder Woman and the rest of the DC movies should feel like they can stand on their own, but still connect to the rest of the universe. Of course, we want to see the other superheroes team up and fight other villains. With Shazam, it looks like it's going to be the most different of the other films so far.
I think that that's a good decision. I think Shazam is probably a character that's a little less known than, of course, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, the main Justice League.
Right.
So it needs to have enough tying it into the other movies that it still feels like a DC movie, that you still understand that it's the same universe. But they really need to give this character room to grow. I think if you throw in any other characters into that, it's going to pull away from Shazam. And of course, you don't want that to happen. And it's such a great story. We were talking over a year ago when we were reading that book where,
Convergence
in the back,
Shazam.
It was so good. And if they could do something like that, I think it's something that kids and adults will both enjoy.
So seeing that Shazam is currently set to release April 5th, 2019, do you think they should include him in any kind of cameo role or any kind of extra Easter egg moving forward in Justice League or Justice League 2?
Yeah, why not? Make him funny. Get people excited to go see the movie.
You don't think, as you were saying earlier, maybe he still needs some room to grow before you introduce him into any of those movies?
No, I don't think so, because they don't really have to do a lot with him. So in the Justice League movie, maybe at the very, very end, you have some little kid that's standing there, who of course is, Billy Batson, is that his name? And he could just say something funny, like, "Whoa, badass," or, something like that. So you could have him in there a little bit, or, I don't know, they could do something really small with him, but enough to get people excited. And then when you get to his own movie, it just needs to be him.
So far, the only confirmed cast member is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as Black Adam. That's the cast that people wanted. They said, he looks like fucking Black Adam, make him Black Adam. And then eventually he said, I chose Black Adam, I'm totally Black Adam. You didn't choose anything.
No, they told you you're a Black Adam.
You're going to be Black Adam.
You wanted to be Shazam, and they made you Black Adam. Is that what happened with you and Aquaman? Somebody saw you on the road, and they're like, make him Aquaman. He looks like Aquaman. And they're like, we'll go with this other actor instead.
I thought they were going to say, well, he's not blonde. But no, he's Aquaman. Just make it happen. No, I don't know what happened. I'm still waiting for that call for when they need a double. Like if he ever, I mean, I'm the sick one now, so that's why Jason Momoa is actually filling in for me.
Okay.
He's
so when I
actually
watch
the
it,
double.
I could be like, "Where was Daniel? Was he sick?" And then you could be like, "Yeah, actually, I
was sick." Now Brokettes know, listeners
for
know.
the whole filming of the movie.
Yeah, I'm still recovering.
Yeah.
Like it set me back on my workout. I haven't been running in a week and a half.
Yeah, it's been longer than that. I feel like
It's not good.
they just updated the Nike Plus app. By the way, guys, it sucks.
What happened?
I don't know. They updated it. It's horrible. You can't do challenges now because like before you could challenge your friends to like certain mileages. Can't do that shit anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They have this thing where you can find running clubs, so there's other people running at certain times. Not in our area. It's in like California. I don't know. It's just really weird. You can't really track things well. I haven't used it yet because I am lazy and have been painting. But I have friends who have used it, and they said halfway through the run it just stops counting their miles.
So it probably got the Pokemon Go update instead.
Probably.
They switched the updates.
Yeah.
The final bit of news moves on to the comic book side. Then we'll have the Patreon shout out of the week, and then our review for All-Star Batman #1.
So finally, the thing that we've been waiting and 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 waiting to happen happened.
DC Comics has topped Diamond Distributor charts for the first time since September 2013 in sales.
Dun 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 dun. DC's at the top of all of the charts. DC has the best comics. I always knew this, but now the world does too. Go and read them like everybody else, cause DC is cool.
Tied it into Legend of Zelda.
Yes.
They should include that in the book.
They should.
The lyrics that you just put
Yeah.
up.
Because that makes sense.
I've always said that if we talked more about Marvel, that we'd probably get more listeners because that's the popular one. Mm-hmm. Now it's slightly churning a little bit, so I'm like, well, here we go. Come on in. We've been talking DC this whole time since 2012.
You know what we should do when we move, just to prove how much of a DC fan we are? You need to take a picture of all your DC comic books, like your trades. Because I just packed that shit, and it's like 40 pounds of trades.
A lot of trades, mostly DC, I guess.
Yes, it's all
I've
DC.
got some Marvel. Don't I have Silver Surfer in there?
I only saw Batman.
Well, what else do you need?
Well, this is accurate.
So DC Rebirth is working out for the publisher as it tops Diamond Distributors charts, and it also kind of embarrassed Marvel a little bit in the top 10 because there were only 2 titles there, and those were Civil War numbers 3 and 4. It's now like this time last year when DC was not even topping out in the top 10 or just having Batman.
And we were
up
saying,
there.
what's wrong with people? And now I'm like, aha, Marvel.
It's paying off.
So DC was also the top seller in retail and unit share. And I don't know what that means, but it sounds cool.
So unit share and retail share. So retail is the dollar amount that you're selling, and unit share are the actual pieces that you sold.
Okay.
So this is all in spite of DC's titles holding that $2.99 cover price.
Oh, that's awesome.
They're still making more cash than Marvel or any of the other publishers out there.
What is Marvel's price?
Marvel's prices are standard are $3.99.
Okay.
But some of them are moving up to $4.99. Captain America #4 this week was $4.99.
Wow.
And I couldn't believe that either.
So essentially, they almost sold twice as much as Marvel.
I don't know if they sold twice as much, but
almost. Not
but
quite.
they've outsold them in units.
50% more.
I don't know if it's 50% either. Where are you getting the 50%?
I'm doing the math because Marvel Comics cost 50% more than DC Comics, right? Roughly.
DC books are $3. Marvel books are $4 for the most part, but some are $4.99. And the Civil War #1, I think, was $5.99.
Can we just round up to 50%?
If you want to say 50%, that's fine.
Can we just, because what's half of $3? $1.50.
Like more
and
accurate, it'd probably
therefore-
be about 25% more.
That's not accurate at all.
Well, it's more accurate than 50%.
Let's say like 30%.
30%.
So
I'll
they
settle
sold
with.
30% more.
These sale numbers have already been scaled back to account for expected retail returns. So right now with the DC books, I want to say it's the first 5 issues. Retailers can order as many as they'd like, and then anything extra they can return back to the publisher. So it's kind of like DC going, find the ceiling on our dime, and from moving forward with issues 6, 7, and 8, you should have a rough estimate or a rough idea on how many of this certain issue you can sell. Mm-hmm. Like if you sold 100 copies of Batman #3, you'll probably order maybe 95 copies of Batman #4 because there will always be people that drop the titles. And moving forward, it's awesome. I wish more publishers did this. I wish Marvel would do this for the new #1s that are coming out in October. I don't know if they will. And the trend is that they haven't, because they have been on top for such a long time that a lot of their titles have not been returnable. And this is why a lot of retailers are stuck with many copies of, let's say, Civil War, or copies of Amazing Spider-Man that don't sell, or a bunch of Deadpools. It's unlike I think the Valiant books are also returnable. By the way, speaking of price, I didn't know that Mighty Morphin Power Rangers annual, did you see the price on that bitch? That thing is $7.99.
Whoa!
$7.99.
Do they include a morphin ring or something with that?
Morphin ring.
What are they called?
I don't know what they're called, but it's not a ring. They wear it on their belts, and then they take it off, and it's morphin time.
Okay, so do they include a morphin belt?
They don't. No, that doesn't come with it. It just comes with more paper, more artwork.
I like how I say that. Like, a morphin belt is worth $7.99.
Yeah, $7.99 for that fucking annual. Like, I know annuals are more, but you're the Power Rangers. Relax. You're not. This isn't a Batman.
You want to know what? We're gonna buy it anyway.
Oh, we did. We totally bought it. Because here's the thing. Like, one of my coworkers, Richard, he was like, "That Power Rangers annual is $7.99." I'm like, "Holy shit, that's crazy! I'm not buying that." He's like, "You're the only person down for it." I'm like, "Oh, well, I guess I'm buying it," because my store had to order an extra one because I was down for it. So, I have to buy it. It's the thing. So I'm just gonna read it. Hopefully it's good. Hopefully there's at least the first appearance or something in there.
Maybe it's like the best comic that's ever been created, and it's gonna be worth like oodles of money.
Hopefully.
And maybe it comes with a morphin belt.
I know it won't. It's just gonna be.
And a morphin ring.
It's gonna be extra stories featuring guest artists, guest writers. That's what it's gonna be. And I'm just at the end of it, I'm gonna be like, well, damn.
And a morphin belt. I'm on this morphin belt thing. You write to them and tell them I'm expecting a morphin belt with my annual. A Pink Ranger morphin belt.
So looking at the numbers for DC, did it pay off to quote unquote draw the line at $2.99? I mean, this is almost like 2011 again, 2010. With $2.99 all their issues, but twice a month.
I think it probably definitely helped them, because if they had raised it, then yes, they were going to lose some people. I think something else that helped them more than anything was their stories got better.
Yes.
And that's definitely the big winner there. But even with great stories, if they had raised the price to $3 or $4.99, they would have had a drop off because people just can't afford it.
Especially if they were still coming out at twice a month and then at $3.99, forget about it. Because right now we're getting an extra book a month for an extra, what do we say, $2. And that's pretty good, especially given that these stories have been great. Wonder Woman has been awesome. Superman Rebirth. I mean, if you want to know what the Rebirth titles you need to get on, for sure, these are going to be my recommendations, and then you'll probably agree on a lot of these. Wonder Woman, Rebirth number, all of them, just get them all. Every other issue alternates into Wonder Woman Year 1. Superman Rebirth is probably my favorite of the Rebirth titles.
It's been great.
That's been excellent. Detective Comics has been really good. Love that team up with Clayface. Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps, they're about to go up against Sinestro. If you're a fan of Green Lantern, that is it. I mean, those are the top 4 right there that you must get if you're not getting them already.
I agree. I don't think my list varies much from that. They've all been pretty awesome. What's the one with Gotham Girl and Gotham?
That's been Batman.
Batman's been pretty good too. That was a great run.
Yeah, I like Batman too. The Flash has been really good too.
They're hit and miss with the Flash. The Flash is real wordy.
It is super wordy, but that last issue, like I didn't care. I just kept reading. I wanted more info. There's now a love story in the Flash.
I saw that from like a mile away.
And we're all still waiting for Godspeed to do something more. Like, a lot of people are saying, well, yeah, he has a cool costume, but what else? Like, there's nothing to him. So right now, he's literally Venom of the Flash universe.
Yep, that's him.
Every time I post a picture, people say, he's got a cool costume. That's an awesome design. I'm like, yep, we're all waiting for him to do tell us something. Like, he's done something pretty big already, and we're learning how he uses his powers and how he siphons possibly from other speedsters. But we don't know what his motivations are. We don't know why he's doing any of this, what he even speaks like. And we should be getting that really soon, and that's going to be in this first arc. So that's also been really interesting.
Overall, great stuff. If you guys haven't jumped on these books yet, definitely recommend them. I don't think we've been unsatisfied with anything we've picked up so far.
We did end up dropping Green Lanterns, which I talked about on Facebook.
Oh yeah, we
But
were dissatisfied
that
with
is the only Rebirth title so far we've dropped.
And I mean, that one I wouldn't even call it bad. When you get to a point where there's so many books you're reading, it's just what's the least good.
Yeah.
So that I can save some kind of money and eat lunch.
Exactly. And now we have our Patreon shout-outs of the week. With last week we had our very first guest interview post-Patreon
Yes!
with Tim Yates. And we were able to do that long distance. And that's all thanks to all of these backers right here on Patreon. And don't worry, everyone's gotten their shout-out this month. And here's the rest of them for August.
First we have John, who is at John72Tex.
All of these are on Twitter. Be sure to follow them. Next is Eric at eAntonOfficial.
And finally we have Brian, who is at Brian Shoop1.
I think it's Brian Schaup.
But OU makes the oo sound like soup.
But it also makes the OU sound in shout.
English is fucked up.
Well, at Brian Schaup 1, that's the number 1.
I'm going to call it shoop.
So thanks a lot, John, Eric, and Brian for the Patreon backing. And let us know what you thought of the interview last week with Tim Yates. We hope to do more of those in the future. And if you did like Tim Yates as a guest, we will definitely have him on again. And probably do something a little bit more like traditional as you hear every week with news involved, so you can hear it from a third perspective. Or if one of us can't do it that week, Tim Yates can be the guest interview. But again, let us know on Twitter at ReasonsI'mBroke, Facebook.com/TheReasonsI'mBroke.
If you're listening to this and you decide you also want to back us, you can head over to patreon.com/TheReasonsI'mBroke. For as little as $1 a month, which balances out to 25 cents an episode, you can contribute to the show. All funds go right back into the show just to make it better so that we can put out a greater product for you guys.
Currently working towards goal number 3, which would give our website a full revamp and have a full e-commerce section. We also want to thank DecalAvenue.com for the support on the decals at the $5 tier. They're a huge help with those, so huge thanks again, DecalAvenue.com.
And with that, guys, we can move into our comic book review of the week. We just have the one, like we mentioned in the beginning, All-Star Batman #1.
This is written by Scott Snyder, with art by John Romita Jr., colors by Dean White.
This is actually a really, really interesting story. Right from the beginning, it was, oh shit, what's going on? And it just carries that through the entire way.
If you're looking to get your Snyder Batman fix, this is it. It does come at a premium price, though. This is a $4.99 issue. It comes out once a month, and it does have the extra pages, the premium matte finish to it, which I always prefer over the glossy. And the glossy ones, you can always see fingerprints, no matter how clean your hands are. But in the matte finish, they're a lot nicer. They look better. They do curl over time, but if you're storing them in a bag and board, that won't be a problem at all. But as for the story itself, Two-Face is going to be the villain for this first arc, and you get that from the beginning. We know who it's going to be. The artwork, John Romita Jr., I'm not a huge fan of, but it was okay in this. It didn't bother me that much. And to see Batman back in Snyder's hands is awesome, because he does have a certain attitude to how he treats the Batman.
Definitely. It's panning out to be a great story. It's not so much, I would say, Batman story, but a Bruce Wayne trying to save his friend's story. And that's very sweet. And I think we're going to see a lot of lengths that he's going to go to make this happen for his friend.
They've also been teasing Lark a lot in Batman and Batman Detective Comics. And now we actually see him in action. With the new suit, even before the New 52 ended, we saw that they were setting up Duke Thomas to be someone else. And initially we did want him to be Robin. And they kind of gave us that with Future's End. And I thought that was really, really, really cool. But unfortunately, they didn't go forward with it. If they're saying that Future's End is going to happen, then eventually we'll have a Duke Thomas Robin. How do you feel he fills in as Lark, though? Would you have preferred him to be another Robin for Batman?
I don't think so. I think he filled in well. You know, we see moments where Batman's talking to him in other books saying he doesn't need another Robin. And yeah, I would agree with that. Bad things typically happen to Robin. But this is a way kind of moving away from the immaturity that Robin is typically associated with and being like, okay, look, this guy came in as an adult.
Yeah.
You know, he's here, he's more mature, he's not going to make the same mistakes that a Robin made, but he's still not so much as a sidekick to Batman, but maybe more of a partner.
Exactly right. He serves more as like a hybrid sidekick and Alfred symbol or helper to Batman, because he is very tech savvy. He can sit in front of the back computer and do some of the same stuff that Alfred would normally help him with. So that's different enough. Who was Alfred's daughter that we had for a little while there?
I don't know. Penny 1 and Penny 2.
Yeah.
Julia.
Julia Pennyworth. I don't know. I really liked that, having that dynamic in there. And it looks like he's kind of taken over that role. But the difference is he can also be out on the field helping Batman. And at the same time, Batman is training him. Like, he's told him, like, you know how to fight, but you don't know how to fight my way. The way I take care of criminals in Gotham. It works, it's effective, and here's why. So he's kind of taken him under his wing also. So it's still that sidekick portion of it. And I still would have liked to have seen, if they didn't bring back Damian, to see Duke Thomas or Harper Row would have been another good Robin.
Yeah.
But for now, it looks like they're expanding it. Instead of saying, okay, well, it's just another Robin. Why don't you give us a new character? Here's your new character. Why don't you change a character? Instead of changing your character's race and keeping the name, why don't you make a new character? Well, here's one right here. Like, these do happen, and if people support them, great. So here's one, Lark, brand new character, new supporter. And if you've been reading the New 52, you've been seeing his character grow throughout. Also in We Are Robin, he was featured pretty prominently. No longer has a book there, but instead he's featured in probably one of the most important books right now on the DC shelves, and that is Scott Snyder's All-Star Batman. If you're not a fan of John Romita Jr. and it doesn't really ring well with you, don't forget that every single arc, they're going to be changing up the artwork and the artist to fit the villain that they're going to be telling the story of coming up next. So I think Two-Face still has 2 or 3 issues for this first arc, and then from there we'll move on to other all-star artists in the future.
Overall, I really enjoyed the book, and I think they're going to go a lot of amazing places with it. Definitely pick it up, guys. The art didn't bother me, but again, I'm not really focused on the art. As far as the story, I think it's good enough that you could overlook the artwork if you didn't like it.
Last bit I do want to cover is the cover itself. I think DC marketing or the publisher, whoever made that decision, fucked up in putting DC Rebirth on the cover, because one of the promises was $2.99. And from back when they first started announcing this, they were upfront about All-Star Batman and saying that this was going to be a premium $4.99 book.
Right.
And it's fine because people knew ahead of time. But then when you put Rebirth on it, that kind of, one, it ruins that $2.99 price point that people might have thought. But two, it kind of makes it feel like this takes place exactly during Rebirth. And Snyder said that this is kind of like its own contained thing where he can tell stories about the villains that you normally can't in the regular ongoings.
Right.
So yeah, Batman does have that yellow outline to his suit, and yeah, it does fit within Lark's training, but everything else with Two-Face and that story could be told as a separate story, and I feel like that's what these books are. So it's unfortunate. That's one of the things that I probably wouldn't have put in there, is a DC Rebirth. You could have still had the DC logo and the price in the same style, just like they do with Scooby-Doo Apocalypse, even though that one is $3.99. But that's the only thing I would have changed. Otherwise, it's an awesome book. I love Snyder. I will follow the creators wherever they go. That's one of the reasons why we're reading Superman, because Tomasi and Gleason are on there. And so far, that has paid off.
So guys, that is actually it for us this week. Sorry it's a shorter episode. Between life and being sick and everything else that's gone on the last week, we didn't have as much time to prepare or be ready for this episode as we would have liked to. But of course, we didn't want to just give you guys nothing. We want to be here for you. If there's anything we didn't talk about this week, maybe some news that came out that we missed, please let us know on Twitter at ReasonsI'mBroke. We'd love to talk to you about it and include it in the next episode if need be.
One of the segments that we are going to be having next episode will be
Fanfictions with Kelli?
will be the what's coming on Netflix. That's something we've been kind of avoiding in the last couple months. Haven't been on top of, but we're going to bring that back so that Brokeheads know exactly what's coming on Netflix and what's leaving, so they can start watching those shows. Real quick, though, something that we do owe the Brokeheads. We haven't given them a lot. This is a shorter episode, so we're going to give them this. You found, first the theme song.
I can lift you up. I can show you what you want to see and take you where you want to be. You could be my luck. Even if the sky is falling down, I know that we'll be safe and sound. We're safe and sound.
The Superman Loves Batman moment of the week.
I did find it. I remember now. So it was in Justice League.
Yes, just let me find the number while you continue.
So there's a moment where there's things in the center of the earth, and Batman's going to get Superman so that he can go and save the earth. This is from Justice League number 3.
Number 3.
From Rebirth. And there's a moment with Superman and Lois talking. And clearly they're talking about him leaving her for Batman. Dan, would you like to read us the words?
Well, first we'll start off with Lois, because she initiates the conversation here.
I'm not sure what you want me to say, Clark.
Maybe a goodbye?
Don't. Don't you dare.
Lois,
Don't talk to me like this is some trip to Metropolis to stop Luthor or the damn Toyman. We both know that this... Damn it, I said I wasn't gonna cry.
Lois.
I know.
That's the exact dialogue.
Yep.
And what is she referring to?
That he's leaving her for Batman. Because Batman showed up and said, I need help. And Superman's like, oh, it's time. He wants to marry me.
Because remember, Brokettes, this is pre-New 52 Superman. This is the one that's been married with Lois, has a kid, little Jonathan Kent Jr., and while he's been in the New 52 universe, he's been kind of hiding out and letting that version Superman, that existence, kind of take its course and take its place. He didn't want to interfere with it too much. And now that there's no Superman, he knows that he has to step forward and be Superman for the world. But it was Batman that came and kind of brought him onto that. And he realized that he loves the Batman of this world just like he loved the Batman of the other world. Or is it that he knows that... I mean, he knew ahead of time that he was going to fall for this man, right?
Well,
because she explained it to Lois. Or he explained it to Lois.
I mean, probably when, before they got married, he's like, listen, Lois, I love you, but I'm in love with him. And I'm happy to share our life together and raise whatever children we may have. But he will always have my heart.
There's going to be a time in which
when
I will go with him.
And you just need to tell me, okay. and that's what this moment is.
If you want to read it for yourself, Brokettes, it's right there.
Go ahead and tell me I'm
3.
wrong, but I'm not wrong.
That's the Superman loves Batman moment. The ultimate one so far in Rebirth.
Yes. It's pretty much the only one so far in Rebirth. I mean, I'm sure I could pick out more, but this one was just so obvious. I flipped the page and I'm like, oh, that's what that was.
You didn't even think about it twice.
Yeah. But then there's a moment later where Batman cradles Lois and Jonathan, and then Lois is like, oh, I get it now. And then she was cool.
So do we know now for sure which Superman loved Batman more?
They both love him equally.
Equally?
Equally.
He has a kid and a wife,
yeah.
And he's leaving them for Batman.
Yeah. And the other Superman loved him so much he just couldn't hardly contain it. They both love him the most that you can love anybody.
One was just more open about it, and one was a little bit more closed about it. I think I prefer the more seasoned Superman love, because it's there's history there. In his mind, he thinks.
You like more seasoned love?
Unlike Batman's still using him, obviously. He's not returning that love.
No.
But it's awesome to see that. And I like seeing Superman happy.
Okay.
I like when he works with Batman.
And that was our Superman Loves Batman moment of the week.
So there you go, Brokettes, capping it off on that end. We want to thank all of you for tuning in and listening to this episode. Last week, again, give us feedback on Tim Yates and that interview that we had, that guest. We're also going to have another guest interview on next month. So September, that should release. That'll be episode, I want to say, 208. So that'll release on that one. That's going to have my lifelong friend Riggs. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be funny. I think it's going to be very entertaining for a lot of listeners out there. See me interact with someone that I've known for over half my life.
To interact with us or more updates on what's going on with the podcast, with our lives, you can follow us on Twitter at Reasons I'm Broke or at Palpakelli. It's a way cooler Twitter. I'm just a saying. You can also go to thereasonsimbroke.com. There you can find all the podcasting sites we're listed on and our Facebook as well.
Thank you so much. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Kelly.
We'll see you next week.